Adam here from the Walser Automotive Group, and what I want to do today is take you on a test drive. So next to me here, I have a 2026 GMC Terrain. We'll look at the interior, exterior, some of the trim level specifics, then go for a spin around, see what it's like out on the road. Okay, so now we're behind the wheel of the 26 Terrain, and this is the AT4 trim level. So you've got your Elevation, AT4, and now the Denali. So for 2026, they added these two top tier trims to the lineup. The beginning in 25 was just the Elevation, but adding these in is pretty cool. Now the AT4 obviously is going to be more the off-road focused version, so we'll cover some of that stuff when we're on the road, but for now, let's put it in drive, go for a spin around. So before we get going, we've always got our phones with us. So right down here, we've got wireless charging, and I've actually got wireless Apple CarPlay as well as Android Auto. Now this is a 15-inch display. It is massive in here. It is so cool because it gives you all the icons basically on one screen for your CarPlay, or you can go through and kind of keep track of some of your pertinent information, your safety stuff. We'll dig into that a little bit more, but it's nice. I love where the wireless charging pad is here. Just makes it really easy to not be messing with your phone while having the CarPlay. Now from there, what powers these GMC Terrains is going to be a 1.5 liter turbocharged engine. Now it is important to note there's a front wheel drive, which is going to be standard, or the optional all-wheel drive that we have here today. The big note with that is it changes the transmission. If you're looking at the front wheel drive, that's going to be a CVT. If you go to the all-wheel drive, that goes to an 8-speed automatic. So like I said, the 8-speed we have here today is buttery smooth out on the road. Now this doesn't make a ton of horsepower, but with that turbocharged engine, you kind of get that instant torque off the line. Yes, some people are probably going to miss that V6, but overall, I think with the added fuel economy benefits that you get with this, you really don't notice it too much from day-to-day driving. Then if you put your foot down, just kind of winds up, takes off, and you're off and moving. If we're looking at the AT4 specifically, the big difference is going to be the wheel and tire setup. That's kind of the one thing you notice right away, because this gets a 17-inch kind of dark machined finish wheel, and then it's going to have the general grabber tire. So I thought it'd be a little bit noisier on the road, but these tires are actually pretty good. It's quiet when you're just kind of cruising on the highway, yet when it starts to snow, as we expect here in the next month or two, these are going to have plenty of bite and traction. And if you plan on hitting the trail, maybe you're into mountain biking, camping, running up to the cabin, these are just going to give you that sure-footedness if you plan on doing some off-roading. Now, it's not the most aggressive off-roading vehicle, but it does add a little bit more ride height when compared to the Denali or the Elevation. As well, you're going to have those red recovery tow hooks up front, which is pretty cool. Even if it's just the style of the vehicle or the usability, it's kind of nice to have that. And then this also does have underbody skid plating, a little bit different than the rest of the Terrain lineup. Now, what's cool about this AT4, this is the sterling color, so the sterling metallic does look really good. The dark gray kind of hides some of the dust and dirt sometimes, yet this one has the ebony twilight two-tone. So the top of the vehicle is actually going to be kind of blacked out, but with the body lines on this vehicle, I think it works really nicely and kind of pairs with some of the cool colors you can get. The red also looks really good on this SUV, but for the most part, I think there's some cool colors for the 26 lineup, depending on if you're looking at the AT4 or the Denali. There's kind of one that'll fit your style. Now, a few other things on the exterior of this vehicle, you'll notice some of the AT4 badging around, and then you'll also notice the parking sensors and camera. So this particular one gets the surround view camera. So what's really cool about that, you can actually go into the menu and pull up the camera, or when you pop it in reverse, your digital gauge cluster here will show you the parking sensors if you start getting close to something. The backup camera is so awesome in here. You can go through and kind of configure a few different ways to view. The full 360 view makes it so easy to see what's going on. If you're leaving that busy grocery store, trying to hook up a trailer, that is pretty cool. Now, with some storage on this vehicle, this one does get a power liftgate out back, so whether it's the key fob or clicking the button out back, and then you actually get a surprising amount of room. Now, there is obviously larger SUVs in the GMC lineup, but this being kind of one of their smaller SUVs, I'm surprised at just how much space is in the back. One other thing that's pretty cool is it's a 60-40 split rear seat. So if you need a little bit of extra hauling space, you can actually fold down one side or the other or both sides. That gives you a pretty surprising amount of room. It almost feels like a little tiny pickup truck when you kick that down, because you do have a lot of hauling space, but if you're bringing the family with, the second row is also pretty convenient. Now, in the second row, when you bump up to the AT4 from the Elevation, you're adding heated seats back there. So like I said, we're heading into deep fall here, about to be wintertime. So if you got the kiddos, you're bringing 4 people with you, having the heated seats is really nice in that second row. And there's also USB charging back there. So if you got the kids going on a road trip, make sure you want to keep all your devices charged up. That's really nice to have the charging and the heated seats, so everyone's going to be happy. Where I'm happy is in the driver's seat. Now, it was only about 40 degrees this morning, so it was a little chilly, but when I remote started the vehicle, there's actually a feature that will kick the heated seats and heated steering wheel on for you before you even hop into the vehicle. So that is so nice that when you get in, it is the perfect temperature. I love that feature on the vehicle, and yes, the remote start is standard on the key fob, which is really convenient. Now, these seats starting here are really good. GMC's always had some great seats, but like I said, these are heated and they're also ventilated in the AT4 and the Denali. So when it does get really hot in the summertime, if you haven't had ventilated seats before, it is a game-changing feature along with the heated steering wheel. So this is a little bit of a thicker leather-wrapped steering wheel in here, but the heat is so nice. I forget how much I love that feature until it's a little chilly in the morning. When you hop in, it just makes your drive so much more comfortable. Now, speaking of comfort on the drive, we have basically a brand new paved road here, so it's a little harder to test, but the suspension is nice. I like that little bit of added ride height to the vehicle, and the 17-inch wheel with kind of more of the off-road tire gives you a little bit more sidewall. So when you do kind of hit those sewer drains or cracks in the road, this just kind of skips over the top and it's really comfortable. That's one thing they also did in the Denali. They actually tuned that suspension a little bit differently as well to give you even more comfort. But I mean, I don't know how you get more comfortable than this. For kind of a smaller crossover SUV, it's really quiet and comfortable on the road in here. Obviously, GMC is just kind of more of a luxury version of some of the Chevrolet models, and you do feel that luxury when you're in here. The appointment in the cabin is really nice, and it's just very easy to drive. You could live with this vehicle day to day and be very happy and comfortable behind the wheel. Now, like I said, back to that 15-inch infotainment display here with the wireless CarPlay. You can hook your phone up and it automatically connects when you jump into the vehicle. It's going to have text messaging, Google Maps, Spotify. You also have Google Assistant built into there, which is pretty cool. So you can click that button and say, Walser Buick GMC, and it will actually give me directions to the dealership, and not only on here, but it also goes onto your digital gauge cluster. So I believe this is an 11-inch display, and you can scroll through the menus with this little button on the side here. You can kind of just see your pertinent information or your adaptive cruise control in there. Then you can click it again, and that will actually pull up your maps. So what's cool about that, when you have your Google Maps in there, if you want to go back to your CarPlay on this side, but you pull up the maps on the other side, kind of keep track of what's going on, what you want to see, that is really neat. Then just a few other things. If you kind of go to the home screen, you can keep the vehicle status up, which is pretty cool. So there's actually each little button you can select individually to see the tire pressure or some of the oil life, things like that. And then basically you can kind of program or set up the menu how you want it to look. So I won't get too much into it, but just know there's a lot of configurability in there. So you can configure it how you want it to look, whether it's your music, your CarPlay, anything like that. It is really easy, and the screen is very responsive. Some of them maybe not so much, that it's kind of a little tricky to use, but the GMC one is actually really easy. You'll get it figured out within a day or two of being in the vehicle. Now, I like the buttons down below. So for your climate control, you can run that through actually the infotainment screen here, or there is still physical buttons. So it's nice to have the button down below. You have the auto climate control as well as a dual zone climate control. And one other thing that's great for driver and passenger, I have a power seat over here with lumbar control, but you also get a passenger seat that's going to be power with lumbar. So it's harder in kind of the crossover SUV segment to get both sides to be power with lumbar. So if you want to be happy in the vehicle, both you and whoever's with you, that is pretty nice out of this terrain. Now, a few other little things in here, the storage cubby. So there's actually a shift-by-wire system. So the shifter being up here on the column frees up room underneath the tunnel here. So whether it's your purse or anything else you want to store down there, that is really convenient. Then you get a nice little storage cubby here with USB and USB-C charging. And I love the location of the cup holders. Sometimes they hide them up front, off to the side. These are really convenient. So if you got your coffee, you got your phone on the wireless charger, and then a large armrest here. But I'm actually really comfortable in this vehicle. I'm 6'1", and where I sit, I not only have tons of headroom, but also in the rear seat. If you've got the kids in the car seats back there, or 4 passengers, everybody actually is going to have a lot of room and headroom in the vehicle, which is always a great thing. Not to mention, this one has the optional panoramic sunroof up above. So while I have it closed now, just because it gets a little bright in here, with the darker interior, if you do want to really open it up, it's so nice to have. It just really kind of adds to the spaciousness of the vehicle, especially as a smaller SUV. Adding that panoramic sunroof, I think, is definitely worth it. But gosh, I mean, overall, just kind of cruising around today. Like I said, the turbocharger, I don't really miss the V6. You know, you got to think, how often do you actually floor the vehicle. It seems like not very much. I have my foot all the way down to the floor, so I'd rather have that kind of low to mid 20s fuel economy. You can almost get up to higher 20s if you opt for the front wheel drive and the CVT, but I mean, it's comfortable on the road. The technology is great in here, and there's a ton of safety. Things like the adaptive cruise control system, so you can set 3, 2, 1 car length distance ahead of you, blind spot monitoring in the mirror with emergency braking, there's park assist in here. There's just so much good stuff, and we have to touch on the price because I think you're getting a lot of value here. Now, like I said, this has got heated ventilated seats, all the technology, the all-wheel drive and all the off-road equipment, and MSRP on this one's right around $44,000. So when the average new car price is about $49,000 in the US right now, so you're actually getting an above average amount of equipment for what I see as a below average price. So there's actually lots of really cool stuff in here. Plus, when you shop at Walser, we offer an 8-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. That means you can be on the road for many years to come and not really think about it. Now, these little motors are pretty great. Like I said, good fuel economy, good power, great tech in here. I think if you want something that has the off-road look, I think these are really sharp looking on the exterior. Yes, you can take some equipment out or go down to the elevation to be priced around the $31,000 price range, or you can go up to the Denali and really get some cool equipment. So I think it's absolutely one to add to the list to come out, take for a spin, and see what you think. Now that was just a quick look and drive at the 26 GMC Terrain. Now if you have any other questions or you'd like to schedule a test drive, you can visit us online at walser.com or stop by either one of our locations. We'd be more than happy to help. Thanks again for watching.